Thaddeus Kosciuszko studied in the Cadets Corps at the Royal Military Academy in Warsaw, where he excelled in geometry and drawings. After graduation, he was offered the position of a faculty member, and he advanced to the rank of captain. Kosciuszko later resigned his teaching post and traveled to France to take advanced courses in military procedures and strategies, architecture, and painting. In France, he learned new concepts of social and political ideas voiced by Rousseau, Montesquieu, and Voltaire. Near the end of his studies in Paris in 1772, Kosciuszko received the disastrous news of the first partition of the Polish Commonwealth. The Polish army had been reduced, and when Kosciuszko returned to his home country, he had no way of getting a commission. With no prospects to serve and use his knowledge, he decided to leave Poland with no clear plans for the future. From the Polish and French press, he was aware of the difficulties the English colonies had with their mother country. He knew about rebellions triggered by the Stamp Act. He was thrilled by stories of the Sons of Liberty, Patrick Henry, and the Virginia and Massachusetts colonies. He admired colonists' resourcefulness and the wisdom to become economically independent. He wanted to go to a place where freedom was being defended. In 1776, Kosciuszko left Europe and arrived in Philadelphia. He presented himself to the Board of War of the Continental Congress. He learned that General Washington lost the Battle of Long Island and that the revolution was at risk of collapsing. The Board of War appointed Kosciuszko as an engineer in the service of the United States with a pay of $60 a month in the rank of colonel. His first commission was to design and oversee the construction of fortifications at Billingsport to thwart any attempt by the British to attack Philadelphia. His next task was ordered by General Putnam to erect defensive works at Fort Mercer. Kosciuszko's ingenuity and efficiency in his work captured Congress's notice. General Gates chose Kosciuszko to go with him as an engineer to the Northern Front in New York Colony. Kosciuszko's engineering talent in a battle at Saratoga enabled inexperienced citizen soldiers to defeat the finest professional British army. The victory at Saratoga injected a new spirit to the armies and citizens and convinced Europeans to help the would-be nation. France officially recognized the independence of the United States. The Gentleman of Science and Merit was brought to General Washington's attention, who appointed Kosciuszko as chief engineer of the Middle Department. Kosciuszko spent 2.5 years designing and supervising the construction of fortifications at West Point. Despite primitive quarters, hunger, lack of suitable winter clothing for his soldiers, and supply shortages, Kosciuszko finished construction in 28 months. The fortifications at West Point were soon called the Key to America. By 1779, a chain was drawn across the Hudson, and it was so effective that it was never directly challenged by a British ship. British attempts to move their armies from Canada southward to join their compatriots in New York City were blocked, and the British campaign in the northern states was neutralized. By late 1779, Sir Clinton abandoned his objective to attack West Point and ordered a retreat, moving his forces south, leaving New York City. In early 1780, upon his request, Kosciuszko was appointed as the principal engineer of the Southern Army under General Gates and later General Greene. As he passed through villages in Virginia and South Carolina, he witnessed a tragic betrayal of freedom in the new nation. He was greatly disturbed when he saw men, women, and children being auctioned like cattle. Slavery was against everything he believed in. He was dismayed that white Americans were fighting for universal principles that they denied to 500,000 blacks. Kosciuszko reached General Gates's shattered, poorly equipped army and engaged in the Southern Campaign, called by historians as the most vicious and spirit-crushing chapter of the American Revolution. With General Greene, he served for 2.5 years, both as a fortification expert and a frontline commander. Kosciuszko witnessed all the desperate conditions in the South, massive slave defection, the dilemma of loyalism, and how America transformed in the crucible of war. Kosciuszko volunteered to lead African-American soldiers in one of the most bloody and obstinate battles in the South. Kosciuszko had faith in black Americans and proved that black soldiers could fight courageously. He hoped that their courage and willingness to pledge their lives for the American cause will help the abolition of slavery. Upon his return to Poland in 1784, King Stanislaus appointed Kosciuszko to generalship. Kosciuszko led many battles assaulting Russian forces. For his heroic acts, the king gave Kosciuszko the Order of Virtuti Militari. In 1794, Kosciuszko led the Polish insurrection against the Russians. The battle ended in retreat, but it is remembered as a heroic act. A wounded Kosciuszko was imprisoned for 2 years in St. Petersburg. Poland was removed from the map of Europe. In his second visit to the U.S. in 1798, Kosciuszko wrote a testament in which he would leave the money and land he received for his 6.5 years military service to the charitable purpose of educating and emancipating as many children of bondage as it should be adequate to.
I beg Mr. Jefferson that in case I should die without will or testament, he should buy out of my money so many Negroes and free them, that the remaining sum should be sufficient to give them education and provide for their maintenance.
The Supreme Court, supporting the institution of slavery, did not allocate the rest of the Kosciuszko fortune for the benefit of blacks. Kosciuszko still remains an inspiring figure in the struggle for freedom. His conviction that no citizen could be a complete man who did not give some service to his country is still very true. He is an example of a well-lived life and the noble traits of character: selfless, honest, a loyal friend, a devoted comrade, a capable commander, and an ardent patriot. His bravery was legendary. His brilliant strategic plans for moving armies helped win many battles. His engineering skills and leadership abilities remain admirable. In the words of General Greene, he was one in a world whom no pleasure could seduce, no labor fatigue, and no danger deter.